And I also have a caller on the phone, area code 562. And hello, area code 562. This is Reneé, and may I ask who's calling?
Hello.
Hello. Can I have your name, please?
Steve.
Steve. Hi, Steve. Steve, did I talk to you last week?
I think so.
All right. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome. Do you have a question for Patricia, Steve?
No, I was just listening.
Okay. Feel free to listen in then. This is awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah.
And Patricia, one of the things that you had mentioned also when we were talking with the flowers, and that really piqued my interest because when my father talks about his near-death experience, the interesting part is that he talks about these huge, huge, beautiful flowers. And
they were huge.
What did they look like?
Well, the flowers looked almost like our flowers, but they were like giant flowers. And the colors were much brighter, and the lights were shining off from. It was almost like they were dancing, and one, it'd go from one to the other, and the fragrance was a sweet smell. I could smell that, and they were, and same with the plants. They were just huge, and the trees were giants, and the rippling brook that was crystal clear, and right down from that was waterfalls, and it was just beautiful. I mean, I didn't want to come back, but who can say no to the Lord,
Right,
and He gave me life again, but I wasn't expecting everything to happen like it did, with the gifts and all that.
Nice. We have another caller on the line, too, Patricia, okay? And we have area code 610. Hello, this is Reneé. Who am I speaking to? Hello, area code 610. Oh, they've dropped off. Maybe they'll call back in again.
Okay.
And well, you also talked about. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to tell you they have stores in Holland and stores for us, and of course, when we die, our spirit essence goes back to the source, which is God. And He knows everything that we've done from birth until our death. And so He knows all our colors, clothing we like, and our styles and all that. So all of that is inside of the store. And, you can just go in and select what you want to wear. And, everything is just so beautiful. But I also needed to mention I had a third near-death experience, if I could just talk about that a little bit.
Sure. One of the things I did want to ask, though, is that, I've heard from several people that have had near-death experiences that the buildings over there are just huge and white, and there's, like, white columns and everything. Did you see that?
Right. I didn't go see the buildings, but I was told just a second ago about our spirit essence goes back to the source, which is God. Well, everything that goes back to God is also written in the Book of Life. So when we die and the Book of Life is taken out and they go through that to see if your name is written in the Book of Life, that God, what is written in there is what we've done throughout our life as far as our work and how much love we've shared with others and things like that. And other than that, I didn't go into buildings. And you also did mention about the angels that they were moving quite fast, right? Oh, yeah.
They were like zip zapping around.
Yeah, the angels that I was telling you about, that was outside of the kingdom, and they were off to the left of me on my first death. They were going in and out of the archway entrances to the kingdom. Of course, God was giving them different tasks to do, and some of them were coming back to Earth, and they were retrieving all of the prayers for God, and they were taking those to him. Now, God answers all prayers, but he answers the ones where people are real, that uses basically, like the Lord's name, and also if it's really from your heart, because it has something to do with the light that shines from within. If it shines more brightly, is what I was trying to figure out, and told that he answers those prayers first, but all prayers are answered by our Lord, and I just wanted to mention that. And they were just so many angels that they weren't in their true form, because they were like the ones that escorted me to heaven. They were like clusters of lights, and there were just so many of them. I believe I was in the angelic dream. That's what I said, because when God dressed me like an angel, one of my twin granddaughters was looking at my illustrations, and she said, "Grandma, you don't have any clothes on when God was healing you." And I said, "Yes, honey, I know that." But I said, "God dressed Grandma." And I told her, they carry my book around with them. They're 7 now. And they're so excited. But what I was going to tell you was, my father was 87 when he passed on, but he basically went to all my book signings, and we were at Barnes & Noble for one of them, and everyone that went through, he was so excited and proud of me. He'd say, "This is my daughter," and my face, I know, where she turned red, and he goes, "Yes, Dad." I said, "Thank you."
Nice.
Yeah, but when he passed on, he was in the hospital in ICU, and he had surgery done, and he told me, and my sister was with him, and we were holding his hands on each side of the bed, and of course I was swabbing his mouth and making sure his mouth was clear and his eyes were clean, because he could still talk with us and see us. And finally, all of a sudden, he said, "Stop talking." And we were thinking, "What?" And he goes, "Shh, the angels are coming." And I looked up, my sister and I looked up at each other, and when we looked down, my father was gone. And
amazing.
He was so,
they say that happens too. A lot of people, before they pass on, or just before they pass on, they'll either talk about family members being there in the room that have passed on, or they do talk about the angels.
Right.
Coming to get them. And as I said, Archangel Azrael is the one who comes down and helps to bring you to the other side. And also for those who are suffering for the loss of a loved one, Azrael is the one who helps comfort. And, you're asked, really, you should call upon Archangel Azrael to help you, to comfort you, and to help you to move on, knowing that, your loved one is in good hands. And that, that in itself is kind of comforting to know. I just want to do a little bit here and tell people, please call in. The 800 line is open, and it's 877-662-3713. I also am going off of Twitter. I have my Facebook open, and also I have the chat room open. So if anybody has any questions and doesn't want to call in, that's absolutely fine. Go ahead and tweet it, put it on my page, or go ahead and join the chat room that's here on the show board. I have 3 guests on it right now, actually, so I encourage people to ask questions. Steve, what do you think? Are you there, Steve?
Yes, I'm here. I've heard of near-death experiences before.
And were they fairly similar to Patricia's, what they've talked about?
Yes, they were.
Do you have any questions for her in regard to that?
Not really, no. I'm just listening.
Okay. Steve's a listener, Patricia. He likes listening.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Steve.
He's awesome. He's really awesome.
Right. And if I could just finish my last near-death experience.
Sure, go right ahead.
Like that. Okay. I had my 3rd near-death experience actually, it was like the same month and the same date, April the 16th, as my second one, and it was 2010. And I was fine. I wasn't sick or anything. And then I went to bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night about 3, and I started getting really congested. Well, come to find out, an upper respiratory infection, but I never was sick during the day, and it just came on all of a sudden. And my lungs were starting to fill up with this fluid. Well, the next thing I knew, I was outside of my body, and I was looking at myself, and I could see my lungs filling up with this fluid, and I'm thinking, well, this is, I was watching it, the fluid was going up and up and up, and I'm thinking, I was shutting my air off, and I'm thinking, wow, if I'm dying, this is sure easy death, I was always wondering what it was like to drown in your fluid. Well, the next thing I knew, it was pitch dark, and I was in like a medium-sized room, and way in the back of the room by the wall, these lights were just shining down on it, and in the center of the, I call it a platform, was this gentleman, and I said he looked like about maybe 16 years old, and he had on a brown suit, and he had pitch black hair, and he was just standing there, and he was a very nice-looking guy, and he was looking at me, and I was looking back at him for just a few seconds, and then I was back into my body, and then bolted up and started coughing. And come to find out, this gentleman that I was looking at was my father when he was that age. And I just cannot believe that God has let me see both of my parents after they had passed over. And I am, right now, I have not been sick. I actually have been in pretty good health. And I hope I can continue on with God's work and tell my story to other people, and hopefully, maybe they can come out and talk about their experiences also. I know it's very hard to do because most people think, that everybody won't believe them, but I said with my experience after, everything I went through, I said, and God had asked me to write the book, that, the knowledge was there. He was the author, and I was just the writer. And if I hadn't been for him and everything that I went through, there wouldn't have been no book. And, I acquired a lot of knowledge for this experience. And, everything just turned out great, even though, I've been through a lot. But to serve God was just wonderful, and to be, and converse with him like I did and stand before him, and his love was just incredible, and nice. I couldn't ask for a better ending.
Very nice. Patricia, I have another caller on the line. Area code 610 called back. Area code 610, this is Reneé. Who am I speaking to? Hello, area code 610. Hello.
Oh, hi, this is Cindy.
Hi, Cindy. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Very well. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Pennsylvania.
Oh, very awesome. Not too far from me. Very nice. Do you have any questions for Patricia?
Well, yes, I do, because I won't say I had like a near-death experience. I'm still not sure, but I did have an experience, actually. It was about maybe 2.5 weeks before my mom passed away. It was in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And actually I had a dream where I was at a place where I could see some preparation. Chairs were being moved. I don't recall seeing color. It was sort of like a grayish tone. And it was a bit like a bit of fog, but there was people speaking, and I can overhear my grandmother's voice very, very clearly, giving my grandfather directions on how to assemble the chairs and how to put things together, but she kept repeating his name. And also there were some other family members that probably more in her generation that I did not know, but there's a lot of people gathered, and I never got to discuss that dream with my mother. we were not living in the same state at the time.
Uh-huh.
And, right after, after that, she just got sick in the hospital. I don't know if she could hear us or not because she was in a coma. But, clearly, I did think back now, and I did think that, I had a very powerful connection to a place, to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow, and I'm not sure, why I even experienced that.
Huh. That's interesting. I wonder if part of it was an astral projection. Do you know what an astral projection is, Cindy?
No.
No, astral projection is where people can, a part of you, like a part of your soul, can travel beyond your body. Okay, and it can go all over the place. Okay, it can go to other people. It can go to heaven. You can go anywhere around the universe, really, anywhere your soul chooses to go. Some people do it intentionally, like I can do it intentionally. I can do it even while I'm awake and still focus and concentrate on what I'm doing. And other people, it just happens. Most people do it at night, when they go to sleep. And other times, too, astral projection happens, too, is when part of us leaves for, like, a higher education. And not to freak you out, but like a spiritual type education, okay? To just make you more aware, just to educate you, to bring you to a higher level. And actually, astral projection can be a lot of fun, if you learn how to do it and you protect yourself before you do it. But it's actually kind of a really neat experience, and you do see things, and maybe that's something that happened to you and you just weren't aware of it.
Well, it's just what happened, and then my mom passed away, so it was very painful for me, after that. So.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Okay.
I'm sure it was. You can stay on the line, Cindy, if you'd like.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
And I have area code 505 on the line, and I'm opening that line up right now. Area code 505. Hello, this is Reneé. How are you?
Hi, Reneé. How are you?
I'm doing well. Your name?
Angela.
Hi, Angela.
Hey there.
Is this Angela from Facebook?
From Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. That's right. Okay, gotcha. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, it's awesome to talk to you finally. I'm doing well, thanks.
Definitely. I had a question. I was listening to the show. And I had a question for you, Patricia.
Okay.
When you had your near-death experiences, did you experience any pain during that time?
Once, like I was telling you, when I actually had died, well, all three near-death experiences was no pain. No. None. Is that what you're saying? Asking?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know if you...
Yeah, no, I was pain-free, and it was just a miracle. God healed me in His light, and I came back, and I was fully healed. Before that, I had all those injuries. I was not even able to do anything. I was on my deathbed, and it was just a miracle, and the doctors still cannot believe it. They're just all in awe, and just, they don't know what to say.
Wow, well... I'm very happy.
It's all documented, yeah.
It's all wonderful. Thank you for sharing your experiences.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to do a shout-out for you, Angela. A shout-out to Angela, my iGirl123, who's currently on the line on the Angelic Comfort Show. You go, girl.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Angela and I talk a lot. Actually, Angela's from New Mexico, so kind of interesting. We have some really good conversations.
Definitely.
Hi, Angela.
Bye. Thank you.
You going to stay on the line there, sweetheart?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Oh, cool.
Can I ask something?
Sure, go right ahead, Steve.
I was trying to press 1, but it wouldn't work for some reason. I've always wanted to astral travel. How were you able to do it, and to do it even in the waking state? I'm just amazed.
It just sort of kind of happens for me, Steve.
Because I can do it sometimes. I'm aware of it at night sometimes, but I haven't been aware of it in like years.
Right. It's pretty interesting, actually, if somebody's like really thinking of me, and kind of wishing that I were there, or going through a rough time, or they just think really strongly. I kind of can pick up on that, and I kind of prepare myself. And then, I just sort of go, and they can feel me there, they can sense me, they can smell me. Some people have seen me. It's pretty interesting, actually.
Because when I feel like my body is separating, that's when I panic, and I can't do it.
Well, that's probably why you haven't recognized doing it in a while, is when you feel that separation. It can be kind of scary for some people, but if you just protect yourself and, let it happen. If you overcome the fear, you overcome the fear. But it's actually quite an amazing experience.
Right. Yeah. What kind of things do you see? The places you go to, other planets, other planes of existence.
I go to a higher level. I go through the universe, and actually, I've met up with other people from around the world, and we've gone off and what we do, we call it play. And we just kind of connect and just kind of all go around, and I tend to check. Patricia dropped. And I tend to basically go to those who I feel a need. Like I've been seen in Australia, which is of course a 12-hour difference from where I am here in New York. And we just kind of all, just do what we have to do. A lot of times I will visit other people and I check on people.
Wow. And they see you?
Yeah, some of them do, yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, definitely. And, and it's kind of interesting. Some of them feel me, some of them can sense me. Like Mike from Ghost Guys. There was one night that we were on Skype, and he said to me, he goes, Reneé, he goes, what kind of perfume are you wearing? And I said, well, I wear musks. I wear a musk perfume. And he's like, well, I smell something. And he's like, he goes, are you here?
That's freaky.
And I said, it's very possible. And he's like, my rocking chair is moving, and it's not the cat doing it. There's no breeze or anything. And I happened to be in like a rocking chair, and I was rocking back and forth. And I said, well, hello, I'm there. And he's like, wow, So that was kind of a new experience too for him. So I can, I can do it, and people do realize it, and it's actually quite an amazing experience.
Yes, I envy you.
Don't envy me, please. You can do it. And remember what the 3-card pull said, Steve. Envy, no envy. Practice. And you'll be able to get it. You'll be able to do it. And there's really nothing to be afraid of as long as you just keep yourself protected,
Yeah. Easier said than done.
No, not really. It just takes time. Time and practice, patience,
All right. Thanks, Reneé.
You're so welcome. Patricia, have you ever astral traveled or astral projected?
Well, that's the same thing as when I basically was leaving my body for those 3 years. Yeah, I have. And I do have the process of my traveling in my book, and also it's in my notes. What had happened was I started seeing this light, and it was always on the right side of my face, and it was shaped almost like a bean, I would say, like a kidney bean type shape, and it had different lights and different shapes in it. And I would concentrate on that until it was basically fixed in front of me. And then the lights started changing colors. It started out as a dense black, and then it went to a dark, and then a lighter blue, and then a golden light. And the next thing I knew, I was traveling through the light, and actually I was being drawn back to heaven, to God. And this is where I got my energy source for 3 years. And leaving the body was a breeze, but coming back is what I was telling you about. You know, I really needed help with this because it was like somebody was socking me in the stomach, and I would hold my stomach. It would kind of hurt but I was doing this traveling every single day, but it was always back to our Lord. And I think that, you know, He just wanted me to acquire more wisdom and knowledge, and also, you know, that was my light source. And I kind of pushed that back now into the subconscious mind, and I can do the traveling, but it was taking over my life. And not only that gift, but some other gifts. I was absorbing into other people, and I did this with 2 people, actually, just sitting behind someone, and I absorbed right into them, and I could read their thoughts, and then I would be zapped out. And I did that a couple of times, and then I was also could start reading minds, people's minds, but I had to be with somebody that, you know, I was talking to for a while. And then if somebody called, I would you know, basically know who was calling, and that all went on for a while. And then I did have one healing, and my twin granddaughters, when they were born, one of the girls, you know, she had a lot of medical problems, and they said they didn't think that she was going to live. And so I prayed to the Lord, because I asked Him if He thought that I could do this healing with her. And so I kept praying, and one night I asked Him if I could, you know, heal her. And I left my body about 3 in the morning, and their home was about 5 miles away. And it was like zap. I left my body, and I was over there, just a flash, and I could see myself. My hands were extended over her crib, and she was laying with her hands extended up over her head. She looked so cute. And my hands were face down, and the lights were beaming down on her. And then it was like I was outside of myself, and I could see what I looked like, and I was still dressed like that beautiful angel that God dressed me like in heaven. And then I was that. Next thing I knew, I was back home, and I was back into my body. And my daughter-in-law took her for her test, and they couldn't find anything wrong with her. And they're both very healthy now at this time. So I consider myself healing her, and I asked the Lord if I could heal other people. But these gifts were coming so rapidly that I just kind of pushed them back into the subconscious mind, you know, until I could get in control of my life again, because they were just taking over so quickly.
Exactly.
And, right.
Well, that's like I had an experience, actually, that I have no problem putting it out there, actually, about 5 nights ago. And it was like all of a sudden I was presented with this energy that increased. I mean, the energy just went so high within me. And, you know, I got the message that, you know, they increased my energy for healing. That's one of my main purposes here, is to heal others. And my vibrational level was increased into, you know, a higher dimension even. And I was like, really like, wow, you know, how do you do this? You know, how does this happen? But it did. And the energy flow that I have right now is absolutely amazing. You know,
right.
And it's higher than I think any attunement could be, you know, that you go through for Reiki. And, I mean, the energy is just, you know, it's just constantly flowing now. And there's, like, no stop to it.
Yeah. Now, before my accident, I was working close to 80 hours a week. I was a workaholic. I worked in the medical field, and I just left my job taking care of others. And then I went, you know, for over 3 years and not being able to do anything. And then after I was healed, I went back to work, and I was working back to 70, 80 hours again. So that is how my energy level went sky high.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, mine, I mean, it was just like, there it was, you know, I was like, all of a sudden, it was like suddenly my eyes closed and I saw something, and then, you know, I was told that I was stubborn, you know, that I should sleep more so that it could have been done in my sleep, and I just, you know, all of a sudden, it was just like this huge surge of energy, you know, flowed through me and opened up, and it was like, wow, you know, what just happened? And, you know, it was just simply amazing, and I posted on my Facebook page, I'm like, I don't know what happened, I don't know what just happened, but, you know, I'm a little bit freaked out, but I will accept it, and, you know, is it possible, you know, to be told that your energy level can be kicked up so high, you know, that, you know, you're told that it's just so much higher because you're a healer, you know, right. And you have, you know, a purpose, and in this to send that energy, that positive white light energy, you know, to others. And I've sent, you know, energy around the world, you know, to different people, to offer more comfort, you know, because I never claim that I can heal people because, you know, there's no guarantee, but they can feel the energy, you know, and that's what's important, you know what I'm saying? So usually, like within 5 minutes, they can feel it, you know, and that's going through my Reiki training and everything. Have you ever done Reiki, Patricia?
No, I haven't. No.
You haven't done Reiki? Okay.
No.
Yeah, I love doing Reiki. I love doing Reiki. You know, I do hands-on. I've practiced hands-on, and I've done distant Reiki, which is really amazing. So it's good stuff. It's all good stuff. Pure white energy. So definitely good. Does anybody else on the line do Reiki? Everybody there?
I did, but I didn't get all my whatever you click the credits. I think.
Okay.
I think I'm at level 2 or something. Level 1 or level 2.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm just waiting for my final attunement, so that I can be a master and teach it. So definitely good stuff. Reiki's good stuff. It's for those who don't know what Reiki is an old way of basically a holistic healing through energy, pure white light energy, that is transferred to another that helps to align the chakras of the other person so that they can accept the energy themselves and utilize their own energy towards healing and allowing the body to heal. It just kind of opens up all the channels, and it's really good stuff. And when the energy is transferred over, you definitely do feel it. You definitely do feel it. And I always tell people with distant Reiki, you know, give it about 5 minutes before you start feeling any of the effects. And they definitely do. And, you know, you just want to make sure that people stay focused, because my energy tends to be a bit stronger for some people. And I tell them they need to focus. And if they don't focus and keep it to where I tell them that I'm directing it to, that they tend to get really silly. And then to try to bring them back, you know, into focus, and you know, to kind of like get it there so it can spread evenly. You know, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. So
my craniosacral therapist, he's pretty much like energy healing, and I had 5 sessions for my car accident, and the first couple of sessions. When he got through and I came back on the 3rd session, I looked like I had been in my auto accident again, and by then it was like 3-4 years later, and he's bringing out, he said that all this bruising that's in the deep tissues will stay there. So what he was doing, he brought out all that bruising to the surface, and all those years it was in there, and when I came back on the 3rd day, I looked like I was in an auto accident. I was bruised from head to toe because he brought out all that bruising that was in the deep tissues. And So that's how he basically helped me with my auto accident. And with the near-death experience, he took me back to my death, and I basically relived that whole thing. So
Right.
Yeah. And I think it might be on the same order as what you're talking about, but he does, with his hands lightly, above the body, and I believe that's the energy, like the energy healing.
Right. Yeah, I love it, and my friends and I, we do it back and forth to each other. Like if somebody's in pain or not feeling good, we'll just say, and before you know it, you start feeling it, and it's just a warming feeling. It's a wonderful feeling, actually, and it's very calming, very soothing, and keeps you focused. And if you haven't been able to sleep, it'll help relax you to sleep. And there's so many different uses for it.
Right.
That it's just, I simply love it. I love helping other people with it. And also, others enjoy it. And that's why we do it, That's definitely why we do it. It's just amazing, the effects. And, like, if you're really negative, a lot of my friends will say, Reiki heading your way, pure white energy. We're going to knock it right out of you, And I love it. I absolutely love it. But, people tend to have a fear, But I think with the whole thing of the holistic medicine now coming in, I think people are becoming more accepted, and even becoming more accepted even with, like, the astral projection and stuff, which I do want to remind again, is very important when you do it, that you are protected. And last week's show, I did talk about protection, because you're going out there. You need to have your protection on when you do go out there. But a lot of people, what I say about the Reiki too is very important, is that definitely you need to. I just lost track. I thought my phone's going crazy with Twitter, girls, and I definitely want to say that with the Reiki or any type of maybe other holistic medicine, the Reiki complements and works together with the medical profession, which is actually really interesting. A lot of people don't know that it could be used for many different types of things, but it kind of works together with the, with the medical field. And actually a lot of your physicians and medical facilities are now pulling in Reiki masters to work with them side by side. And, doing the healing or the energy transfer for the easing of pain, because some people who have chronic pain, it's been known to relieve the pain for up to 2 weeks with hands-on. So that's pretty amazing in itself.
Right. Yes, I would recommend this type of therapy, or even the type that you're talking about, to people. In fact, my therapist, I wish I would have known this before I had a lot of my surgeries done, because I think he really helped me, but I had the surgeries and they didn't even help. And when I made my appointments with him, he told me, you can't be on, didn't want me on any type of medication to mask the pain. So if you're on medication, he won't see you. So you got to be on nothing and go in there. And I'm telling you, the one session he did with me, just the night I met him, I called, and he happened to have a speaker in his conference room that night that was talking about a near-death experience. And he goes, "Would you like to come over?" And I said, yes. And he did a session on me, and I'm telling you, by the time I left there, it was like, oh, man, I wanted to melt right down in that couch I was on. It was like, crap. And my pain was gone. And but I went back and I had some sessions with him, about 10 total, for my auto accident and for my death. And then after that is when I wrote my book. Yep.
Interesting. Very interesting. Can you answer this one? Is it normal to dream about a near-death experience that they had, and what does it mean by dreaming about it? Is it just something, do you think, Patricia, that it was just such a calming and relaxing experience that dream about it is just another way of, just experiencing that calmness or bringing comfort to oneself? Or do you think it's more of an astral projection that, the person's actually going back? And this here is the shout-out for Boston Angel 09. This is her question.
Well, I'm not real sure because most dreams you usually remember at the time, unless you get up and jot them down and forget later. And a near-death experience like I had is something that sticks with you your whole, for every year, every minute, every hour afterwards. And you can remember every single detail and knowledge and everything throughout the rest of your life, And so I'm not real sure. People call them dreams, which I call what I had was basically death. And and I'm not real sure how to answer that question for her.
Right. What I'm gathering, and also Angela is kind of gathering, I'm like following on Twitter too, is that, what do you call it? And I have somebody else here typing on here too on the chat line, is that it could be either like an astral projection or the subconscious, finding comfort, like I said maybe earlier, in regard to that it was a comforting time, an experience that the subconscious is bringing it back to offer more comfort. And I have also here, I have the lasting song today. When we were talking about Reiki, had said that I had someone do Reiki to me on the phone, and oh my God, I felt so at ease and giggly. So yes, that's very possible. Depending on how strong the energy is, you can get very giggly, and you just need to keep it focused there. The last song today. So, thank you for adding that in. I did catch that.
I would just say something.
Sure, go right ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I've never had a near-death experience, but I did have an experience where it wasn't a dream, but I was in some level of existence with people that had passed on from my family. And the reason I think I had the experience was so that I could tell people that they're just as alive as they ever were. They're just in a different place. That's what it felt like to me.
Right.
And I wanted to stay longer, but they said, no, you have to go back. But it was like felt more astral more than anything else, that type of feeling.
Right, and people don't understand, when they hear astral projection or astral traveling, they're just like, a lot of people don't understand what it is, and it's actually it's a different experience. I can't explain it except for that it's actually a lot of fun and it's enlightening, and you learn much.
You know what it's like. I guess.
I'm sorry, what was that, Steve?
I guess you just have to experience it to know what it's like.
Definitely.
To know what it's like.
Definitely. And a lot of people, a lot of us will do it intentionally. When we go to bed at night, because it's so awesome.
And CDs on how to do it consciously, that you can buy.
Right. And, you just need to also, again, we stress the protection, which is very important. That's very important.
Right. Exactly. Because you don't want to contact the wrong type of people or have the wrong type of entities coming to you.
Right. You don't want you don't want the dark forces entering or anything like that. That's very important.
Yeah.
That's very important. Yeah, I always stress protection with anything like that.
Because that could freak somebody out and just frighten them. And let me ask you this, could you become so frightened that you'd be frightened back into your body after seeing something or experiencing something so shocking?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
What if you were to see some type of entity or some entity out there would frighten you so much, would that frighten you back right into your body?
I, knock on wood, have not had that happen.
Is that because you did the prior prep work?
Yeah, I do that, and like I said, I do the protection, I bubble myself, and, do the violet flame, the white light, the energy, the circle of God, call on Archangel Michael and all the angels, and I do, before I go, and I just keep saying to myself, I am pure white light, I am pure white energy, and you just keep that focused, you know what I'm saying? And
you're fortified with protection the way you do it. That's good.
Oh yes, definitely. I would not do it without it.
Exactly.
And I would not do it without it. And that, that's what is important, is that people need to understand, is when you do any of this, anything like this, astral projecting, or like, my friends in the paranormal field, or anything to do with calling upon any of this, is you really do need that protection, and I just can't even explain how important it is. It really is very important. I'm going to do a shout out right now to Think Tank, if she's listening right now, or he. I'm sorry if I'm not certain, but definitely shout out to Think Tank on Twitter. So, but let me see. I have something here also, again from the last song today, that says Reiki's a wonderful feeling, and how do you protect yourself? Light blue light. Can you tell me a little bit about what do you mean by the light blue light? Are you talking about the violet flame? Last song today. Can you hear me?
Are you talking to me?
No, this is in the chat room. This is in the chat room.
All right, I'm sorry.
I'm just kind of waiting. If you're okay, last song today is typing. Astral projection. Okay, when you do the astral projection, you want to call upon your angels. Okay, your Archangel Michael. Call upon him. Say his name 3 times. Ask for protection, and basically you ask for the protection and ask him for his angels to help protect you also. Okay, and also acknowledging and thanking them for doing this, and then so be it is done. And then you close your eyes and you envision a white ring of flames around you, okay, which is the white ring, white flames of God, and you picture these and the white flames being really tall, okay, and that's a circle of protection for you, and that again, pure white. And also you call upon the violet flame, which raises your vibrational level, okay. So when you raise your vibrational levels, okay, then you are a superior force. And then you bubble yourself in blue and yellow and iridescent, violet, just everything you can imagine. Just make it an iridescent bubble and picture yourself in this bubble. Ah, you got it? Those are things you need to practice and focus on. And that's how you protect yourself. Do you understand that? The last song today, did I answer your question? Last week's show, if you want to go back to the archives, I did describe all of that in there. You're more than welcome. Not a problem at all. Not a problem.
Hey, Reneé,
yes.
Reneé, if someone wants to just raise their vibration, would you recommend visualizing the violet flame on a daily basis?
Oh, definitely. Several times if you want to, yes. Imagine it and then do the creed. Do any one of the creeds. There's several different creeds out there for, whether it be comfort or for world peace, for the planet, for yourself.
But it's not enough just to visualize it. You also need to do the creed.
I would do the creed, yeah. And when you do it, you want to repeat it like, I believe the recommendation is like 35 times. And,
right.
Initially until you become comfortable with it. And then, then you could just call upon it and do the creed. But you want to know the creed, any one of them, and just go right ahead,
Because I know that Blog Talk has a couple shows where they do this, but they say it so fast. It's like unbelievably fast the way they say it.
Right, right. Yeah, there's many websites out there that have them on there, and if you need to, you can what's the word I'm looking for? Even come up with some of your own once you're familiar with it.
Okay. That's a good idea.
It's just go and look on the website. I mean, just type in your search engine, Violet Flame, and you'll find all sorts of information out there. I always encourage people to learn and further educate yourselves. It's so important. I mean, I'm one who loves doing research and loves the education because it keeps my mind, it increases my level of thinking and my knowledge and everything else. And I always encourage people to go ahead and just educate yourselves. Learn this stuff, because it's a good thing.
There's a wealth of information out there. Thank God for the internet.
Exactly, right? We don't have to go to the library and use those old encyclopedias. Everything is so up to date, And I can. And I'm smelling the textbooks right now. I'm smelling those books. I'm smelling that library.
That's all we had at one time.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly, and and little cards, little index cards. I'd rather smell my candles.
Card catalog.
Yes, exactly. I would rather smell my candles burning than smell the books and stuff. Actually, I like going to the library. I do like going.
On the computers, you're stuck. You have to wait till it comes back up. Whereas if you had the card catalog, you could still look. So there's kind of disadvantages.
Yeah, whatever. Don't go there. Don't jinx my computer. My computer's a dinosaur, thank you. We are on the show on a dinosaur. Thank you very much. Okay? Excuse me. She likes to do the C word, so we're just not going to go there, Steve.
Okay.
Definitely not going to go there. Does anybody have any more questions about anything? Anything?
One more thing. On a daily basis, just to protect yourself as you're going through this crazy world, do you do some type of shielding protection?
I always do. Mm-hmm. I always do. And, and when I'm relaxed, as I talked on last week's show, I can always tell when somebody's trying to tap into my mind, mm-hmm. and I instantly increase that. It's a feeling. And Christy was on last week, and she was talking about it, too, and it's like a feeling of, like, all of a sudden you get, like, suddenly tired, and you feel like something trying to penetrate into your mind, and you just automatically just increase the protection, call upon the angels, and, just do what you got to do, and I can instantly stop it. And as a matter of fact, during last week's show when I mentioned it, somebody tried.
Just for the hell of it, just to see if they could do it, right?
I'm sure, yeah, no doubt. And it was instantly blocked. Good.
Well,
yeah,
I love it.
Right.
Wonderful.
The last song they said, that they do the white light, and I just mentioned about somebody trying to get into my head, and they're like, that's scary. And it can be, but you learn to know when this is going on, and you feel it, and it's definitely something that, if you know how to protect yourself, you could do it, I don't want other people reading my mind, only when I want them to, and that's plain and simple. Plain and simple. I can read other people's minds, but if I want to let somebody in, I'll let you in. But I also know that whether it's for but I also know, you can tell whether it's for good or bad. You know what I'm saying? So
you can be a stand-up comedian too. You're funny.
Oh, you think so? Believe me,
I know there's been a couple of people in my group, my friends, and they asked me questions, and one of them wanted me to guess his occupation. And I did. I said, you're a police officer. He goes, well, how'd you know?
Right? Oh, my God, at work today, I got to tell you, I had somebody come to the register, and my back, I was like at another part. It's kind of like an L-shaped type, area, and I was like in the middle of doing something, and I said, I'll be with you in just a minute, and I heard this guy go, or this person go, how did you know I was there? It was a woman. She goes, how did you know I was here? And I turned around, and I looked, and I grinned, and the guy was standing there, and he goes, well, she's a mom. All moms have eyes in the back of their heads. And this girl was, like, looking at me. And this guy's like, well, didn't you know that about women? You know, that when they're a mom, they have eyes in the back of their heads. And I started chuckling. I'm like, yeah, it only appears when it wants to. But it was interesting. She's like, how did you? Because that's freaking me out. I'm like, why are you freaked out? You know. And then somebody.
Did you offer any other explanation to her?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm at work. You know what I'm saying? You just simply can't do that. But you know, and another person came up and I said, well, you know, did you want something else? And I said the name, and the guy looked at me and he goes, how did you know that I wanted that? And I'm just like, oh, it's just a wild guess, you know? And people are just like, yo, you know, and I love doing that at work. I love doing that to people because it just kind of keeps them on their toes. It gives me a little bit of excitement, too. You know what I mean? It's kind of like fun.
Twilight Zone moment.
Yeah. Oh, my God. It's so awesome. Absolutely awesome. I love it. I have another question here on Twitter from Boston Angel 09, and when she feels that someone is going to pass, what does that mean? And then Angela said, do they pass after you have one of these feelings? And she said 99% of the time. Well, you are feeling that, and that's one of your gifts that in times like that, Lisa, that there's times like that at that moment that we wish that we didn't have. Do you know what I'm saying? It's definitely one of the things that I don't like myself when I have these gifts. You know, definitely. I don't like having those premonitions or those feelings or that knowledge prior. And in a lot of cases, I sense it, but I also see it in the aura because I read the auras. And when I'm near somebody, I can feel it. And when their aura is like totally like not there or detached from their body, you know, and I don't know if I've told the story, but I'm Roman Catholic, and when I go to Mass one time, I saw Father, and I looked at my ex-husband, and I said, not for anything, Father's not doing well. And he said, well, what do you mean he's not doing well? And I said, he's going to pass within the next 2 weeks. And he's like, come on. I said, no, I'm serious. He's not doing well, and nobody knows. And sure enough, within 2 weeks, he was gone. And, my ex-husband looked at me, and he says, oh, my God. And I said, his aura was just so far away. And the angels that were around him were absolutely amazing that were just keeping him going. And I'm getting a thing here from last song today who's saying, that's one of their gifts too. And I can't ever tell who it is that's dying. After a while, the last song today, you will be able to pick up on that, and it's really not a very good feeling. That's like I said, part of the gift that I wish that I didn't have. And it's sad. And even with like Angela, you can speak up. You are on the air too. It is sad. It's very sad, don't you think?
Very. Well, the thing to think about is death always means rebirth.
Right, it does.
And that's the thing that you have to think about. It's very sad, but at the time that it happens, it's very beautiful. Right,
yes, it is. Definitely. But it's just that even the idea, like if it's somebody you love, I think that is one of the hardest things because, there's always that selfishness on our part, of not wanting to let them go in the human form. You know what I'm saying?
We don't want to lose them.
Yeah, we don't want to lose them. Even though they're going to be with us all the time after, it's just our own selfishness but I don't want to see when it's a family member. You know what I'm saying? I don't even like reading immediate families cards, when I do the oracle cards, or anything like that if I can avoid it. Like my mother will say, "Oh, read it," or what do you see in my aura? And I'm like, I don't want to look, I don't want to know, And it's just one of those things that you don't want to do, and I just because I don't want to know, because if I feel that she is going through some sort of a medical issue, I will immediately kick up my Reiki and do Reiki with her, and not even necessarily tell her. Sometimes I do tell her, but I don't want her to panic. Not that it's anything bad, you know what I'm saying? It's just that she needs a little bit of boost, and and I'll do that, and I'll do that for other people too. But a lot of times with other people, I ask if I can do it. Yes.
Is there an ethic? Are there ethics involved if, like, there's somebody that's ill or needs something medically? Can you pray for them even though they haven't asked for it?
You can always pray for anybody. You can pray for anybody. As far as
let me give you an example.
Reiki,
Julie Andrews has been in the news for a while that she can't sing anymore because they botched her operation. I'd love for her to sing, and I think she probably would like to. But would it be wrong for me to try to get her to heal her?
When I talk about Reiki, the one thing that I always do is the ethics of asking the person first.
Right.
I
don't know her, though.
Yeah, I know, exactly. No, I know that. And, and
ask her, what's the word, energetically, probably.
You could probably, yeah. You mean telecommunicate?
Right.
Like a communication through the angels and,
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you could, but
that's typical of me because I'm always a busybody wanting to make people's lives better when they haven't asked for it,
Right. Yeah, because we can't determine another person's destiny, and we can't interfere.
Right. So
we can't interfere.
That's the point. You said the right thing. So it's like my intentions are good, but it's not my business.
Yeah, and you do care, and so that's where prayer comes in. You know what I'm saying? And you could talk to like Archangel Raphael.
Right.
And and his medical team, and just say just put extra blessings on her, but for you to transfer your energy to somebody else without asking them first.
Exactly.
And it's just a code of ethics. Like I said, you're monkeying with destiny, and and you can offer somebody advice, you can state something, but whether, again, we come into free will, as to whether or not what do you call it?
They choose to take it.
Yeah, whether or not they're going to take that advice and try, So, like with anything, any outcome can be changed. But when you're talking about transferring energy, doing Reiki, anything healing like that, you really do need to ask the person's permission, because it's like an invasion.
It is. I agree. Gotcha.
I did a couple.
You know what I'm saying?
People.
Yeah, unless you have that person's permission. There's friends that I have that I'm like, well, I'm asking your permission, and they'll say, oh my God, you never need my permission. Just go ahead, please do it.
Exactly.
And it's one of those things where you just, you say, okay, I got the permission once, and they said any time, so boom, So if I feel that something's going on, or, they say something, it's like an automatic, It's automatic. My one girlfriend will say to me, do it any time, but please wait till I'm in bed because your energy is so strong, and wait until I go to bed at night and do it then.
Now, do you have more energy because you are a healer, and that's why you need more?
I think because I am a healer, I've been through several lifetimes. I've been a healer, but this time I guess is much more powerful. So the energy flow that I have is quite high. But like I said, I make no promises, and anybody who does Reiki should make no promises. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
you can't make any promises.
Right.
You know,
it's either going to work or it's not.
Exactly. I basically say that I'm going to do the best I can, and more for comfort, and ease of pain and stuff like that, and to help any way that I can, but I do not guarantee anything because you can't. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, my energy is very, very powerful, very strong when it comes to Reiki and healing.
Cool. And by helping them, you get healed as well. Is that true? That's what I keep hearing all the time.
Yeah, it increases. Of course, you're lining up your chakras. You're allowing in only pure white light energy, and and it's good for you. So it increases your energy level and increases your vibrational levels as is you're helping somebody else out. So yes, you're basically just a free flowing source of energy. We're all energy. We're all made up of energy. So I mean, in all actuality, yeah. Definitely. And I love it. Like I said, I love helping people out that way. Especially, if those are in chronic pain, that if I can do it, I try to put myself, out there to help them. I go above and beyond.
It never drains you? It never drains you?
No, it doesn't unless I'm like really tired and haven't had much sleep. And if I'm really drained myself, I tell people that I really need to boost myself up first and increase my own energy levels and get sleep. I'm very honest about it.
Exactly.
Because the last thing you want to do is when you're tired, or like if you're in a negative state of mind, you certainly don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's something that you need to make sure that you yourself are primed and in the right situation or position to be able to transfer that energy and do it right. You know what I'm saying? So you want to be helpful. You don't want to be hurtful. And you also need to think of yourself, too. You don't want to overdo it and drain yourself. I've done 2 or 3 people at the same time in this country and around the world, too.
Mm-hmm.
So
is there a danger that you might be transferring negativity into them if you're feeling negative?
Well, if you're feeling negative, you yourself are not in a good state of mind, right?
Right.
So I mean, you don't want to you don't want to transfer anything, that might. If you're in a state of negativity, your chakras aren't lined up. You're not going to be pulling in the energy you need anyway.
It's not going to work anyway.
It's not going to work anyway. So you want to make sure that you are definitely, that you're definitely timed. Yeah, exactly. You want to make sure that, you don't want to do it if you're tired. Otherwise, it doesn't drain me. It gives me more energy. And my daughter is here, and she's supposed to be sleeping. She woke up. Why, Mommy? I don't know. Come here, why, Mommy? And absolutely a trip. So she's just kind of like walking around here now, and I'm thinking this is going to be a fun evening. Why, Mommy? Why? You want to say hi, Maya? Come here and say hi. Say hi. Right here, Maya. Look, right here. Look at Mommy. Right here. Say hi. Oh, that was pretty shy. Can you say it again louder?
Timid there.
Oh, yeah, very shy. Yeah, not usually. Come here. Say it again.
Hi.
Very good.
Hello there.
Hi.
What? Maya, who's your guardian angel's name? Who is it? It's a guy. Who is it? Roger? He's big, yes. You and Roger make fun of Mommy. Come here a minute. Come here. Can you say Roger?
She sees them?
Roger, yes. Yes, she does see him.
Beautiful.
She talks about playing on the grid with him. She's just started talking about the grid, so I need to do a little bit more research about that myself. But, yeah, she's definitely, she'll probably surpass me. And she's not even biologically mine, so.
Amazing.
Yeah, but Roger's one of her guardian angels, and her and my other daughter's room is so small that it tends to overwhelm them sometimes at night. He's so powerful with this energy. And I have to talk to him and say, you need to tone it down a bit. And he'll tone it down, and then everybody sleeps well again. So Roger must be very present tonight for somebody to have woken up and come out of bed all cheerful. And, so she's, definitely. So, you know what, Maya? Tell Roger to lower his energy, please. Yes. Okay. Thank you. And tell him it's okay. Just lower it. Okay.
Oh, she's adorable.
She is a doll. She is a doll. But she definitely, she talks about him all the time. Bless you. So he's the more prominent one. We haven't figured out who the one is for the emotional stances. Roger is her one. That's the one that would slap me in the back of the head and say, "Wake up." Well, she's very in tune with Roger, so he's the bold one. Okay. So so she's really in tune with them, and I encourage it. I never ever discourage her from doing this, but
because a lot of times parents discourage it, and then they stop seeing them anymore after they get older.
That's the whole thing. You block it. That's society. And we have 90 seconds left, guys. And I want this has been awesome. And Patricia, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you. If you ever want me back on your show.
Definitely.
Back. Thank you.
And anybody Amazon, right? Amazon, they can purchase.
Yeah, Amazon.com.
Also on Cyber Village, right? And
if you Google search my book, you'll find 2 or 3 pages of different places that have it.
What is the book called?
Crossing Over and Returning as God's Messenger and Returned with a Message of Love.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's some good reading, and like I said, just like my writings and stuff are on Cyber Village Authors, you can also access Patricia's, and it's it's http://authors.cybervillage.com/ and it would be Patricia Thompson, right?
Yeah, Patricia Ann Thompson.
Patricia Ann Thompson, and mine is Reneé Tennant. And, either way, so it's http://authors.cybervillage.com/ Patricia Ann Thompson. So I'm going to say goodnight to everybody and lots of, love, light, blessings to all of you, and offer some peace there. And anybody who wants to friend me on Facebook, go for it. And I'd love to have you. And just have a wonderful week. And keep on remaining positive, positive thoughts. And practice your protection. Practice your protection. It's very important. And the last song today, thank you for joining in. Shout out to my girls on Twitter again. iGirl123, sorry about that. I messed that one up, didn't I, Angela? And and to Boston Angel 09, my sweet friend there, Lisa, and we've got Shy Girl is on there too, and just having a really good time. Again, a shout out to to Think Tank, also for retweeting earlier. And so you girls are just awesome. Absolutely awesome. I love you guys. And Steve, I love you for coming on every week now. This is awesome. I love having you on.
It was fun. Thanks for Reneé. Have a great week.
You're welcome. All the way out in California,
Good memory.
Thank you. Thank you to all the listeners.
Thank you.
Not a problem. So next week actually is either going to be me 2 hours of babbling on, so I'm going to need callers, and I'm going to do some card pulls and stuff in that 2 hour period. Or I might actually have a gentleman on, I'm just waiting for confirmation, who works for he does videos for parents and families for the day that they do the Make-A-Wish program. where they get their wish. And he goes through so the families can enjoy their time without switching cameras and stuff. And he videos, the whole thing and puts this wonderful DVD and everything together. And his name is Justin, and he's out in Arizona. And I'm hoping he'll come on next Sunday night, because the minute I saw his website, I was in tears. And he gives these DVDs to the families as remembrance for when their child passes on, so that the day that they do get their wish through Make-A-Wish Foundation, he is there with the families. And it's just absolutely amazing. So either he'll be on the show next week, or else you will hear me just kind of babbling on. So I will need callers, unless you want to hear blah, 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 blah. So that's not always fun. And so that's what we got planned. So we're going to end the show here. And wait, I got a Twitter coming as my phone is going. And that 90 seconds should be up, and before they charge me more. Let me see. Hopefully they won't. But we're still on the air, so we'll see. We can play dumb. Well, thank you very much, Angela. I appreciate that. Thank you for the compliment on Twitter. So, okay. All right.
Good night, Reneé.
Good night, guys. I'm going to end it
Good
with
night.
Take care.
Good night.
God bless.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.